Friendship, effort, victory. The three core values of Weekly Shonen Jump that have defined an entire demographic of manga for generations. Values so ingrained and integral to the medium that many arcs or even entire stories have been shaped to embody one or more of these values, both within and outside of Jump. So much so that individual storylines that perfectly encapsulate these three values have become a staple within the manga industry and have set the standard for what a shonen arc should be, that I like to call the pillars of shonen manga. Today, we will be reviewing these arc archetypes, highlighting notable arcs that fall under the classifications of the rescue arc, the training arc, and the war or tournament arc. The first pillar that I want to discuss is the rescue arc, which embodies the value of friendship, showcasing the strength of a bond so important that they'll go to great lengths to save a friend. Rescue arcs are storylines where the main focus of the plot is to save or retrieve a friend or ally that has been captured by the main antagonist. It's important to make this distinction because arcs like Wano and Return to Shiganshina may on the surface appear to be rescue arcs, but I'd argue they fall under a more niche subsection known as the raid arc. Rescue arcs tend to showcase the most emotional attachment for the main characters, often valuing the safety of their friend over their own personal goals. Meaning, while at times rescue arcs may not drive the central plot of the story forward as much as other arcs, they are that much more important when it comes to character development and emotional intensity. The rescue team typically focuses on developing a plan to get their friend back, although it almost never goes as planned, assessing and at times doubting their current level of strength, and reflecting on how much their friend really means to them. The rescuees tend to feel a very mixed bag of emotions, ranging from not worrying at all because they know their friends are coming for them, such as Bakugo in the Hideout Raid arc, to questioning whether they even deserve to live at all. Rescue arcs are almost always framed in the light of a group of underdogs overcoming the odds against the elite, being looked at as a ragtag group attempting the impossible, driven only by the determination to get their friend back. Naturally, this requires a huge amount of effort from the rescue team, which is where we start to see some of the crossover between the different values. And while most rescue arcs are successful, not all of them are, leaving our characters feeling distraught, weak, and hopeless, wishing to become stronger. Which leads us to our next pillar arc. Prominent rescue arcs include Eni's Lobby, Sasuke Recovery Mission, and Soul Society. The next pillar arc we're going to be discussing is the training arc, which embodies the effort value. Not the effort values you might be thinking of, but it's surprisingly very fitting to the topic. Training arcs are storylines or a significant portion of a storyline that involve one or more of our protagonists focusing on nothing more but to become stronger, pushing their minds and bodies to their extreme limits to reach new heights and bypass their perceived potential. Training arcs typically happen just before or just after a major arc, either in preparation to a great threat or in response to a great defeat. Results from training arcs often show themselves in not only a large increase in a character's overall stats, but they typically learn or master other power-ups such as new techniques, weapons, powers, or transformations. In some cases, this increase in strength is directly correlated with their growth not only as a fighter, but as a character as well, such as Naruto being mistaken for Minato after training with B. Oftentimes, training is done with the wise mentor figure that the trainee looks up to, tending to serve as a passing of the torch from the old generation to the new. At times, these trainings may serve as an important section of an already existing arc, as opposed to having their own designated arc, but the values highlighted remain just the same. It's not uncommon for training arcs to happen off-screen as well, usually during a time skip, but a point is always made to inform the reader on the training via flashbacks and additional dialogue, and of course, in the fruits of their labor, aka witnessing firsthand how strong they've gotten. Training arcs also have a tendency to display the main character's natural prowess for fighting, mastering a technique or skill in record-breaking time compared to previous students. Characters coming fresh off a training arc are almost always framed in a great light strength-wise, one-shotting and low-diffing most of their opponents leading up to the main event match, to iterate to the reader the magnitude of their growth. Notable training arcs include Greed Island, the Entrance Exam, and Hashira Training. Lastly, we have the final pillar arc, which is kinda a two-parter. We have the tournament arc and the war arc. Most series have one or the other, some have both. These arcs embody the value of victory, proving that against all opposing forces, it is you who stands on top, beating all odds and proving your strength, cementing yourself as a force to be reckoned with within your respective world. There are many similarities between these two types of arcs, but also many differences. These arcs are by far the most battle-focused, featuring the most fights and action sequences than any other type of arc, thus generating the most amount of hype amongst fans. These arcs tend to be the most character heavy, featuring dozens of characters from various factions, all with various goals and clashing ideologies. Focusing on the differences and specific details between the two arcs, while war arcs just so happen to feature a lot of fighting, and tournament arcs, fighting is the entire purpose. A tournament arc is a storyline that hosts the ultimate display of power and skill, pitting various fighters from around the globe or even different universes against one another, all with unique abilities, fighting styles, and reasons for entering the tournament in the first place. And the reasons could vary: cash prizes, wishes being granted, passing a test, or even just to be the best. Tournaments also usually take place in a controlled environment, accompanied by a specific set of rules with options to win without having to fight at all, such as ringouts, and typically utilize a predetermined bracket to decide who's fighting who, as opposed to an all-out brawl. These brawls do occur though, but it's usually to weed out all of the fodder characters before getting to the top players. Think of it like a pools match. Consequences for losing a tournament match can vary, ranging from just being forced to go home, to death, to having your entire universe erased. Imagine being told you have to fight for your entire universe's survival, and you walk out in the arena and see this dude. I literally shit my pants. But with that being said, it's not uncommon for tournaments to be lost, but a lot of the time our protagonists do prove to be successful. Tournament arcs a lot of the time will have additional plot lines going on in the background, but are usually very minor, as the primary focus is of the battles, but important plot lines tend to be revisited in the preceding arc. Notable arcs include the Dark Tournament, the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, the Chunin exams, and Shaman Fight's second round. But war arcs are just about the opposite. Naturally, war arcs feature a lot of fighting, with them being wars and all, but they almost always serve as a visual aid rather than the primary focus. What sets war arcs apart from tournament arcs is the clash of ideals. War arcs are storylines that involve two or more opposing factions that directly oppose each other to achieve their respective missions. You're wrong, I'm right, let's fight about it. There are many reasons behind these wars, but they most commonly stem from the antagonists ushering in a new wave of extreme beliefs that they feel don't line with the current status quo, usually being related to a traumatic experience from their past that changed their worldview, which has led them to now want to change the world, take over it, or destroy it. Depends on who you ask. These arcs typically display the most complexity and nuance in their characters and thematic elements, making a point to highlight the grays of the world instead of focusing on the black and white. War arcs also tend to have the most tension and stakes on the line, as they are usually the final arcs in their respective stories. Many deaths usually occur, and we often witness our protagonists at their strongest both physically and as a person, while there are also exceptions where war arcs can cause a character to realize just how weak they truly are and can cause them to break down. And unlike tournaments, war arcs usually have no rules. Every altercation is on site and the goal is always to kill. Underhandedness and sneak attacks are very common and are to be expected in these scenarios, and even unforeseen reveals of betrayal from longtime allies. Everyone shows their true self in the face of a war. And if it's a final war we're talking about, victory for the protagonist is all but guaranteed. It's the final fight. But as far as wars during the middle of a series, it usually doesn't end too well for our heroes. But luckily that usually ends up being the catalyst for a training arc or time skip, so there's always a silver lining. Notable war arcs include Marineford, War for Paradis, the 1000-Year Blood War, and Magnostat. And I just wanted to add here that arcs can have two or more of these pillars at the same time. For example, Marineford is both a war arc and a rescue arc, and Heaven's Arena is both a training arc and a tournament arc. So after taking a look at the pillars of shonen manga, it's easy to see why they're given that title. The ability to resonate with the reader in such a way that keeps you emotionally invested and in a constant state of shock and awe all at the same time is what keeps viewers like me and you coming back for more every time. And as you could probably tell from the number of examples given, these types of arcs are extremely prevalent in the manga industry. A lot of series have 2, some of them have 3, but you'd be hard pressed to find a shonen manga that doesn't even have 1 of these pillar arcs in them. You can actually find one, let me know in the comments below, and you just might get a prize. But obviously there's a very good reason for that. This is what it means to be shonen. This is the core of what makes these stories so captivating. Even if it may not have the most articulate storytelling, you can always rely on these core values to scratch that itch of working hard, beating the odds, and protecting those you care about. Alright, here we are. You guys finished the video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I really liked making this video myself, and you know, I want that feeling to be reciprocated. One quick thing I want to add, I've started to stream here and there, so I usually do like One Piece live reactions to like the latest chapter. So whenever the chapter comes out, there's a good chance I might be reacting to it, and I do it right here on this channel. So be sure to check me out. I'll try to post in like the community tab whenever that happens, and you know, put them little notifications on for your boy. You know, yeah, put them little notifications on. You know, just to always be, you know, kept up to date with what's going on with the channel. It's just good to have, you know, especially if you're subscribed, you might as well just turn it on. But yeah guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Peace. Oh, and one more thing, put down in the comments, what's your favorite archetype? Is it one of the ones I mentioned? Is it something different, like maybe escape arcs, raid arcs, whatever? Let me know. Alright, peace.